Couch co-op games can feel very different depending on how well they handle teamwork, pacing, and shared progression. Here, I'm going to make a tier list of PS5 couch co-op games based entirely on my true co-op experience. Let's get into the list. It Takes Two completely surprised me and quickly became one of the most memorable couch co-op games I've played. Right from the start, it makes teamwork essential. You and your partner constantly have to communicate and depend on each other to progress. I played it with my brother, and what impressed me most was how every level introduces new mechanics and tools, so the experience never feels repetitive. The puzzles stay clever, the boss fights are creative, and the minigames add nice variety along the way. On top of that, the story about Cody and May fixing their relationship gives real weight to the co-op design. For me, this one easily belongs in the masterpiece tier. Split Fiction really impressed me with how creative and fast-paced its co-op design feels. I went in expecting something good, but what stood out immediately was how quickly the game keeps throwing fresh ideas, mechanics, and wild set pieces at you. Playing through it with a partner feels constantly engaging because every new world brings different tools and challenges that demand real coordination. I also like the dynamic between Mio and Zoe. Their personalities bounce off each other well, and the story adds emotional weight without slowing the momentum. Some moments are genuinely hilarious, while others land surprisingly well on the emotional side. For me, this is an easy, excellent tier couch co-op experience. A Way Out was one of the first games where I truly felt what a dedicated couch co-op experience could be. Playing it with a partner feels very different from most multiplayer games because everything is built around two people working side by side to escape prison and move the story forward. I really liked how the split-screen presentation keeps both players involved at all times, whether you're sneaking past guards or coordinating during action scenes. The story has its ups and downs, but the journey you share with your partner is what makes it memorable. For me, this easily earns its place in the masterpiece tier for couch co-op. Overcooked. All you can eat is pure couch co-op chaos in the best way possible. I've played a lot of multiplayer games, but very few create this level of fast, frantic teamwork where communication actually makes or breaks your run. The controls are simple, but once the kitchen starts shifting, burning, and falling apart, things get intense very quickly. Playing with friends always turns into loud call-outs, last-second saves, and plenty of funny mistakes along the way. I also like that this package includes both games and all the DLC, so there's a huge amount of content to work through. For me, this easily belongs in the masterpiece tier. Moving Out 2 is one of those couch co-op games that works best when you just want something light and silly with friends. I liked how it keeps the same chaotic moving concept but adds new level types, especially the ones where you're unpacking instead of just throwing everything into the truck. The controls are easy to understand, and the physics-based chaos can lead to some genuinely funny moments during co-op sessions. It doesn't always demand tight coordination the way some other co-op games do, but it still delivers solid party-style fun when played with the right group. For me, this comfortably sits in the excellent tier. Sackboy: A Big Adventure is one of those couch co-op platformers that just feels consistently fun to play. What I really like is how each level introduces new mechanics, so the gameplay keeps evolving instead of repeating the same ideas. Playing with a partner works great here, especially in the co-op only stages where coordination actually matters. The handcrafted world also stands out. Everything looks like it's made from real materials, which gives the game a lot of charm. It's accessible for newer players, but still engaging enough to stay interesting over time. For me, this lands in the excellent tier. Baldur's Gate 3 completely blew me away with how deep and flexible its co-op RPG experience is. When I played it with friends, what stood out most was the sheer freedom you can approach quests, combat, and dialogue in so many different ways, and the game actually reacts to your choices. The turn-based combat is tactical but satisfying once you understand the systems, and the writing keeps you invested for the long haul. I also love how seamless the drop-in co-op feels, even in such a massive RPG. It's not a quick party game, but if you want a deep shared adventure, this one delivers. For me, this is a masterpiece couch co-op experience. Borderlands 3 is one of those couch co-op shooters that I can always jump back into with friends and have a good time. What really keeps me hooked is the insane variety of weapons. It constantly feels like you're finding something new and ridiculous to try out. The shooting feels smoother than ever, movement is better, and the campaign throws a steady mix of missions and enemies at you, so it rarely feels repetitive. I also like how flexible the co-op options are, especially being able to share loot without fighting over it. The story isn't perfect, but the gameplay loop is strong enough to carry it. For me, this lands in the great tier. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is a really fun spin on the Borderlands formula, especially if you're playing in co-op. What I like most is the fantasy twist. You still get the familiar looter-shooter action, but now it's mixed with spells, melee weapons, and that chaotic Tiny Tina energy. The gunplay feels solid, the character creator adds nice flexibility, and the constant loot drops keep the momentum going. It doesn't reinvent the formula in a big way, but the humor and tabletop-style presentation give it its own personality. It's best enjoyed with friends, even if the overall structure is a bit more linear than some people expect. For me, this sits in the great tier. Helldivers 2 is one of the most intense co-op shooters I've played with friends in a long time. What really stands out to me is how much the game forces real teamwork. You can't just run in solo and expect things to go smoothly. Every mission turns into these chaotic, unscripted moments where you're calling in airstrikes, scrambling for ammo, and barely making it to extraction. I also love how the stratagem system adds pressure, especially when you're trying to input commands while enemies are swarming you. It's definitely at its best with a coordinated squad, even if playing solo feels much tougher. For me, this goes in the excellent tier. Deep Rock Galactic is one of the best pure co-op experiences I've ever jumped into with friends. What makes it special for me is how every class actually matters, whether someone is setting up zip lines, placing platforms, or scouting ahead. The teamwork feels natural and rewarding. The mix of mining objectives and wave-based combat keeps missions tense without becoming repetitive. I also love the destructible caves, which make every run feel a bit different. Sure, you can play solo, but this game clearly shines brightest with a full squad. For me, this easily earns its place in the masterpiece tier. Sea of Thieves is one of those co-op games where the best moments come from the stories you create with your crew. When I play with friends, I love how running the ship actually requires coordination, someone steering, someone on sails, someone on cannons, and when it all clicks, it feels great. The open-world pirate sandbox leads to a lot of unpredictable and hilarious encounters, especially when other crews show up. The voyages themselves can feel repetitive on their own, but the player-driven chaos is what really carries the experience. It's definitely more about the journey than tight, structured gameplay. For me, this fits well in the great tier. Remnant 2 is one of the strongest co-op action games I've played when it comes to challenging teamwork. What I really like is how the combat blends tight gunplay with Souls-like difficulty, so every fight feels deliberate and rewarding. Playing with friends makes a big difference, especially when your different archetypes and builds start to synergize in tough boss fights. The procedural worlds also add a lot of replay value since you won't see everything in one run. It's not always perfectly balanced for every build, but the moment-to-moment gameplay stays satisfying throughout. For me, this comfortably sits in the excellent tier. Diablo IV is one of those co-op RPGs that kept me hooked for hours just chasing better builds and loot. What I like most is how satisfying the progression feels. You start simple, but over time your character becomes incredibly powerful in ways you can really customize. Jumping into dungeons with friends makes the combat even more chaotic and fun, especially during tougher boss fights and world events. The darker tone and strong presentation also help it stand out from other top-down RPGs. It's not perfect, but the core gameplay loop is very hard to put down. So I am placing it in the excellent tier. Destiny 2 has always had great shooting mechanics, and I still think the moment-to-moment gunplay feels really smooth. Playing missions and raids with friends can definitely be fun, especially when the teamwork clicks. But for me, the experience feels uneven overall. Some systems are confusing, the content structure can feel restrictive, and the grind doesn't always stay rewarding in the long run. I can see why it has a strong fan base, but compared to other couch co-op options, it just doesn't hit the same level consistently. For my tier list, this lands in the mediocre tier. Dead Island 2 is the kind of zombie game I play when I just want pure chaos and fun. I like how it leans into the over-the-top tone instead of trying to be super serious, and smashing zombies with crazy weapons never really gets old. The combat feels punchy, the environmental traps are satisfying to use, and co-op makes the whole experience even better with friends. That said, the backtracking, light challenge, and occasional jank do hold it back from the top tier for me. It's a really good time, just not quite elite. For my tier list, this goes in the great tier. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is one of those couch co-op games I can jump into anytime and instantly have a great time. I love how it brings back that classic arcade beat em-up feel, but still keeps the combat smooth and modern. Playing with friends is where it really shines for me. The teamwork moves, the fast pace, and all the TMNT fan service just make every session fun. It is a bit short and not super complex, but honestly the replay value and co-op energy carry it hard. For my tier list, this one lands in the masterpiece tier. LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is one of those games I like to jump into when I want something relaxed and fun in couch co-op. I really enjoy how it lets me play through all 9 movies with that classic LEGO humor, and there's a huge amount of content to explore with friends. The class system and space battles keep things fresh enough most of the time, even if the combat can start to feel repetitive and the difficulty stays pretty easy. A few camera issues aside, I still had a great time collecting characters and messing around in free play. For my tier list, this goes into the excellent tier. So, these were my picks for the best PS5 couch co-op games you can play right now. If you think I missed a great one, drop it in the comments. I'm always looking for the next co-op night. Thanks for watching.